back to the Broken Meeple. This is the second time I have had to record this Ghost Stories How to Play video because, annoyingly, the first time I recorded it I had some audio issues that I couldn't correct in post-editing. So, dedicated as I am, I'm now doing this a second time and hopefully I'll be able to do this video a lot smoother. So, you will have already seen my review for Ghost Stories uploaded and I gave it a positive one at that. But I'm going to now show you how to actually play the game, just for the first few turns and the initial setup, just to give you a feel of the game. I'm not going to go through the entire game, I can't record this for 90 minutes plus. So, to kick start off, we're going to deal with setup. Now, in front of you, you can see that this is set up for a 4-player game, for green, yellow, red and blue. You set up 9 tiles in the middle of the table, effectively. Now, these tiles can be randomized in any way you like, as long as they're laid out in a 3x3 grid. The player boards of each colour are then placed to the side of these 9 tiles, making sure that the haunting symbols indicated by these here are facing the tiles. They're closer to the tiles. That's how you want it. And if you can also see, the Buddha statue symbol is also the right way up. Now, in this game, Ghost Stories, you are 4 Tao monks defending a village from the evil Wu Feng and his ghost army. Quite as to why they're here taking over the village, I'm not entirely sure. Basically, think of it as he's just trying to get back into the physical world and you're there to stop him. Now, it's a cooperative game where the 4 of you have to survive as long as you can against all the ghosts that come out throughout the game until eventually Wu Feng himself shows up and then you exorcise him back to the underworld. So to begin with, you have the player board set up as such. Each player is going to get 4 of these, which are key tokens, which is effectively lives. So there's another way of putting it. They will also get one of these, which is a yin-yang token. It's kind of like a special ability that you can use at any time. And they will also get 2 different tokens. Now, these tokens are color-coded, one for each player color and a black. Each player will get a black one and one of their corresponding color. So green gets a black and a green, blue gets a black and a blue. You see what I'm getting at. Beforehand though, the characters have to choose their own special ability. Now, if I just shift these to one side for 1 minute, you can see what I'm talking about on this board. Each board has got 2 special abilities, one there and one there. The player has the choice of which one he wants to use for the game. For this one, I'm going to choose this ability, which I quite like. This means that when I am attacking ghosts, I get an extra dice to roll, and I never have to roll the black curse dice for any reason, which is a negative thing that the ghost can sometimes inflict on you. So the green is quite powerful and resilient. However, his movement is still as limited as ever. Then comes the deck. For the 4 players, you will use every card that there is here, and these represent the various ghosts that you can fight against. Now, you will have seen me go through these in the unboxing review, and you will also notice that there are a few here with this symbol on, which represent the White Moon expansion. I haven't taken them out for the course of this game, but they won't be popping up in this how to play video, so they are just there to represent part of the deck. But I'll get into those more when I look at White Moon. And first off, you have to choose a Wu Feng. Now, there are lots of Wu Fengs to choose from, particularly once you add White Moon into the game, but you only need to choose one. So you will shuffle this randomly, and you will choose one of the Wu Fengs. So we have the Timekeeper, that is the one we're going to use. He will take 4 black symbols to kill, and he has various special abilities. Once you have chosen that Wu Feng character, you must then place him 10 cards away from the bottom of the deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and plop him there. The whole point of this is that when you eventually get through all these ghosts, and believe me, it doesn't take as long as you think, once you get through all these ghosts, you will then find Wu Feng, and then you will have 10 more ghosts worth of turns, and that doesn't necessarily mean 10 turns, to exercise Wu Feng before you lose the game. And obviously, if you die, you lose as well. That's kind of self-explanatory, really. So the board is set up as thus, and we're going to say that green gets to go first. your turn, you have two phases, the yin and the yang phase. The yin phase is when you sort out everything to do with the ghosts that are already on the board and draw more ghosts. The yang phase is when you, as a player, perform your actions of moving around the board and exercising ghosts. So let's start off with the yin phase. First up, you check to see if there are any ghosts on your colour board, so in green's case the green board, and if there are any abilities that are in play abilities, you would resolve them. At the moment we have no ghosts, so that's irrelevant. Then you would move haunting ghosts forward, and I'll get into that later on in this video. So the last bit of the ghost phase is just to simply draw a ghost. You take top card of the pile, you see what it is. This one is, if it will focus, the Restless Dead. A relatively mediocre yellow ghost, but it's a haunter. You place the ghost on the colour board that it matches. So yellow, that means poor yellow is going to have to deal with this one. You can place it on any one of these free spaces, doesn't matter which, as long as the colour matches. If you happen to draw a black ghost, you can put it anywhere you like, as long as it's a spare space. So that's the yin phase for green. Then you have the yang, I nearly forgot, silly me. Because it's a haunted ghost, you have to put one of these on the board, which is kind of like a spooky little figurine there. And you place it on the first of the two symbols for haunters. Nope, sorry. You place it on the card before those two symbols. Now this basically is a little ticking time bomb. As soon as that haunter reaches the tile, the village tile, being this, it will flip it over and it will be a haunted tile. If 3 haunted tiles are flipped, you lose the game as well. Funny how there's always more ways to lose than there are to win these things, right? Ah well, never mind. Now, green is thinking, right, I might be able to take out that yellow ghost, so I'm going to go over there and I'm going to fight him. So here comes the yang phase. First off, they can move only to an adjacent tile, and you can move diagonally in this game, that is fine. However, you are only allowed to move one space. So from here, you've got the whole village at your disposal. But let's say I was here, that means I could only reach these 3 tiles. I wouldn't be able to get to there, or there, or there, there, or there, because it would be too far. So green is going to choose to move to this space here. Now, you have 2 choices in the remainder of your phase. One is to try and exercise a ghost, and the other is to use the ability of the village tile you're sitting on. Now, each of these village tiles has a special ability that you can utilize if you are standing on that tile. However, if you do so, you can't then exercise a ghost. You have to do one or the other, so you've got to think, what's the most useful thing I need right now? Green is deciding that haunted ghosts are a big threat, and green is going to try and exercise the ghost. So he takes 3 dice with these various little colour symbols on them that match the colours of the various ghosts and players, with the exception of white, which is a wild symbol. Now, before, you remember me mentioning that green has a special ability that allows him to roll an extra dice. That's what this one is, the grey dice. So green is getting 4 dice to roll to exercise the ghost. Now, if I just move this haunter to one side for a second, the ghost has symbols on the top left. Come on, focus there. There we go. There are 2 symbols for yellow on the top left. That is what you have to get on the dice in order to exercise the ghost. So in this case, I need to roll 2 yellows and or whites, because whites are wild, so whites can count as yellows. That seems relatively easy to do on 4 dice, surely. Well, let's find out. Chuck dice. Let's see now. 2 green, so already they're no good. We have a white, which is a wild, so that can be a yellow. And we have a yellow here. Now, I know it looks orange. This is one flaw with the game I've noticed. You will notice there is nothing for orange. Orange doesn't exist. But you'll notice that that's red and that's yellow. So the yellow is somewhat orangey on the dice, but it's relatively easy to tell which one's the red, so you shouldn't get mixed up. However, the good news is that I rolled a white and a yellow, which means the ghost is exercised. Out you go, into the discard pile, and away you go. No! Over there, out of the way. So that finishes green's go, and he's had a successful turn. We then move on to the yellow player. yellow special player indicated on his part of the board, I will tell you now, is that at the start of his turn he can take one token, which is these things I mentioned earlier, of any colour at the start of his turn. So he's very good at hauling tokens. Now, he doesn't yet know what ghosts are going to come up, so he's just going to prepare for every eventuality, and he's going to opt for a blue one, just for the sake of it. Again, we go to the Ying phase. There are no ghosts to worry about, and there are no special abilities. Therefore, we just draw the top card. And we have the Fallen Monk. It's quite an easy ghost, only requires 1 green to kill. However, you should note this. At the bottom of each ghost, there is abilities that constitute 3 different phases of a turn. Either when they come out, when they are there at the start of a turn, and when they are eventually killed. Now, if it appears on the left side of the card, it means it's an ability that happens when it comes into play. If it's one in the middle, then it means it's an ability that goes off at the start of the turn for that player when it's there, when it's on their board. And the right hand side is the ability when you exercise the ghost. So this ability here means that I have to draw another ghost card after this one. So basically they're all trying to swarm us. For this ghost, I'm going to choose to place it there on green's board, but then I have to draw another one. And this time we have Lish. Lick. Lish. I don't know how you pronounce it, but this one's a hard nut. May not focus in greatly with this camera, but it has 4 yellow symbols. This guy is a hard nut. And he doesn't have any come into play abilities, however he has 2 other abilities. If he is killed, you can regain a life or your yin yang token. That's very good and not to be underestimated. However, there's a catch. At the start of the yellow player's turn, because this is a yellow ghost that's going to go on his board, he has to roll the black curse dice. The black curse dice is this, which can make you lose a life. It can zap out your tokens. It could be lucky and you won't get any bad things. Another ghost might come out. Haunters might move. You know, it's not a good dice to be rolling. But even worse so, there is a leash, that is a hard nut, coming out to play. So now yellow has to think, let's see now, what's the biggest threat? Now, hopefully that leash is going to be killed by the time it gets to his turn, but for the moment, they're relatively safe. There's only 2 ghosts. However, don't get too complacent with this game because this will smack you around before you know it. However, what he is going to do is he is going to utilize, he's going to try and get some more tokens whilst lending a hand to green. So he's going to move to the same tile as green has here and use the ability of the villager. Now that particular village tile allows him to roll 2 of these attack dice and gain tokens depending on what colour he gets. He's going to hope for some yellows or some whites so he can take out the leash on a future turn. But for now, let's see what happens. Now on here we have a red and a green, which means that he will get a red and a green token. Not necessarily the colours he wants, however he now has 1 of each colour of token, so he can essentially be a jack of all trades and rise up to the challenge whatever happens. That ends his go, so now we end up on red's turn. Red checks his board, there are no ghosts, so he just draws 1 from the pile. And now we have the Blood Drinker. Blood. Come on. Honestly, I don't know why this camera has so much trouble with the focusing sometimes, but I apologise in advance. There we go. Blood Drinker. Only requires 2 red to kill, and only has to roll the curse dice when it is killed. So it's not too bad. It can sit around and you don't have to worry too much. Now, the intelligent thing that... Ooh, hello. We got a bit of a focusing problem here. I do apologise. Now what red is going to do here is place it on the board next to where yellow and green already are. That way, because you can only exercise ghosts on adjacent to your village tile, they can go for either or ghost. It's not a bad tactical decision. However, red now has to decide what he's going to do. Should he go and just take it out willy-nilly, or should he use another villager tile? Red is going to choose to use the special ability of another village tile. Namely, this one here. This special ability allows you to place one of these Buddha statues on an open space on the player board. If a ghost is then subsequently placed on that Buddha, it's automatically exercised. This is a good tactic to have at the start of the game because for certain ghosts, if they're weaklings, fair enough, just put them on the board. But if they're really nasty ones, like some of the black ones can be quite nasty or tough, then it's good to place them on this Buddha because then it just auto-kills them. Expecting that blue is possibly going to have a nasty one on his turn, he places it there in the centre space of blue's player board as a kind of defence mechanism. That ends red's turn, and we now move on to blue. Blue has nothing on his board, so he just draws another ghost. We have a Reaper, 1 red, and its on-play ability is that this ghost cannot be killed with dice. You have to spend a red token to kill it, so it's a little bit more resilient than the average ghost, but it still only requires 1 token, so it's not that big of a threat. He chooses to put it in the middle of the board so that yellow and green can reach it easily enough when it gets to their turn. Now blue is thinking, well hang on a minute, we've been letting a few ghosts come out, we need to actually get rid of some of these. But he also wants to use his special ability, which allows him, if you can see my finger poking there, is to be able to use a village tile and exercise a ghost on his turn. This is quite a powerful ability and one that should be used as often as possible. So he's choosing that he's going to go after this relatively easy green ghost down here and free up green's board a bit. However, he also wants to use the village tile, which allows you to place a token on that village tile and all the resistances of that particular colour for the ghosts of that colour are decreased by 1. So, thinking that we have a bit of a situation with the yellow ghost over here, the leash, we're deciding to place a yellow token on this board so that the leash resistance is now 3 instead of 4. That makes life a bit easier for the yellow and the green player. Now, whilst he's here, he might as well use his exercise special ability and go after the Fallen Monk. The Fallen Monk, as we described earlier, only requires 1 green symbol to kill. So this should be a doddle. Yeah. Never get your hopes up. Not too much anyway. Luckily, a white is rolled, which he can use as a wild green. Therefore, bye-bye Fallen Monk. And you're gone. So that ends blue's turn. We now check for green. No ghosts. So we have another ghost. The Flesh Devourer. 4 red. This is a hard nut, but it will give you 2 tokens when it eventually is killed. But this is a hard nut, so it's going to be a tough one to get rid of. He places it in the open space on red's board. Now, on his turn, green is going to try and exercise the red ghost above him. Because the problem when you have 3 ghosts on the player board is that when it gets to red's turn, if you have all your spaces used up by ghosts, you will lose 1 key or 1 life. Now this is bad. This is basically meaning that that monk is getting overwhelmed by the ghosts that he is encountering. So green is deciding that he must take out a red ghost before it gets to red's turn. So he's going to twist around here and try and take out the red ghost there. He has 4 dice to do it with, but he needs 2 red symbols. He did alright with the yellow one. Can he do alright with the red one? I seem to be doing a lot better on these dice rolls than I used to. I must admit, dice normally hate me, but right now they seem to be liking me. We have a red and we have a white. Therefore, he's got the job done. Pew! Now, normally when you kill this ghost, there is a curse die that needs to be rolled. However, green's special ability from before at the start of the game was that he doesn't have to roll a curse dice. That's good. Resilient green gets the job done without any repercussions. Now we move on to yellow. Checking the ghosts on his player board, there is a problem with the leash. The leash makes him roll the curse dice when it gets to his turn. Green's ability has no effect on other players, so he has no choice but to roll this nasty dice. Shift you out for 1 second. Oh dear. Not one of the best ones to get. -1 key. Yellow must lose a life as a result of the curse dice. Not good, but lives can be regained, so it's not the end of the world just yet. We'll get to that bit, probably. So on yellow's turn, again, he can choose a token. Because this leash is causing him so much aggro, he's going to choose a yellow token this time to add to his pile. Looking on his board, he now has 2 yellow tiles to play with to kill the leash. With the village tile here also spawning a yellow tile, it means that the leash is very easy to kill. If he can just get one yellow on the dice, he can kill it with the aid of the tokens. So, let's find out. 3 dice, 2 yellow tokens, and -1 resistance. The leash had 4 symbols on there in order to exercise it. Therefore, he must only need 1 more yellow symbol to exercise it, because he can just spend 2 tokens, and it's got -1 resistance. Come on, yellow. Eureka, we've even got 2 of them, meaning he can save himself a token. So he spends 1 of his tokens, and the leash goes bye-bye. Now, the leash has an exercise ability, which means that he can either regain his yin-yang token, that one at the top, or he can get his life back. He just lost the life to the leash, so he's choosing to get it straight back. There we go. No problem at all. Now we move on to Red's turn. Red has only 2 ghosts on his board, therefore he doesn't have to lose a life. So he draws another ghost. And we have the Shapeless Evil. Ugh, this is a nasty black ghost. Now normally this would be a pretty nasty haunting ghost, this ability here, meaning that where I said before that it has to stay on the card when it comes into play, that ability would mean it actually goes 1 space forward, which means it only needs 1 more turn before it ends up haunting the tile. And with 4 black, it's not easy to kill. However, Red has an idea. The blacks can go anywhere. So there's a Buddha hanging around on the blues board. Did you notice from earlier? Therefore, he's going to use the Buddha to kill the Shapeless Evil. Black Ghost tries to get on the Buddha and gets exercised in the process, using up the Buddha, which means he has to put another one out if he wants to. Fantastic, that makes life a bit easier. As there are only 2 ghosts out in play, Red thinks that now is probably a good time to actually keep up the Buddha, shall we say, what's the phrase I could use, the Buddha-iness of this ability, and prepare for a game. So he's going to take another Buddha and put it straight back with his turn. Now we go on to blue. No ghosts on this board. We're doing quite well this game, I must say. Trust me, you can get overwhelmed in this game pretty quickly if you don't get the die rolls. I seem to be doing quite well here, but trust me, do not get complacent. We have this whole deck to get through yet, and more, before you get to Wu Feng. So do not at any point think that you are just cruising this game, because you will not be cruising this game. Draw a ghost. Relatively straightforward. We have the Abysmal, who has no abilities until he's eventually killed, and requires 2 blue to kill. It's not worth putting him on the blue Buddha statue, so he's going to place him right next to himself. Now, blue has his ability of using both the village tile and the blue thing that he's on about. He wants to make life a little bit easier for himself, just to make sure he doesn't fail. So he's going to first use the village action to put a blue token on there. And then he's going to roll 3 dice and try and get rid of the Abysmal, which now only requires 1 more blue. Job done. 1 blue, 1 dead Abysmal. Problem is, he has to roll the curse dice. Not a good thing. Luckily for him though, he got blank. He's escaped the curse this time. I'll go through a couple more turns just to reiterate some more points. Draw 1. This is for green. Sharp-nailed mistresses. These girls are pain. They only require 1 red to kill. However, they have a really nasty on coming into play ability. If I could focus here for just 1 second. Yeah, hopefully you can see it anyway. Basically, the white symbol there means that he has to draw another ghost. However, the black with a cross symbol next to it means he loses his special ability until this ghost is exercised. This is a pain. So the red ghost has to go here, and if I get the relevant token out, you can keep these to one side. They don't necessarily have to be on the table when you start the game. But each player has one of these, which basically is placed on his board. You can't see it in the camera, but basically I'm placing it on his board where the special ability would normally be, and it just covers it up so you know he can't use it. So he no longer gets that extra grey dice. Ooh, that's a problem. But also, he has to draw another ghost. And here, we have a green ghost that, again, can only be killed by tokens. Fungus thing. Yep, that was original. 1 green token, Place it here next to blue. Blue can deal with it on his turn nice and easy. Green's going to try and take out the sharp-nailed mistresses because, let's face it, not having your bonus ability is a right pain in this game, and it's good to get rid of them as fast as possible. He doesn't have a red token though, so he has to get the right symbol on the die. Uh-oh, my first failure. And I'm not making this up, this is my first failure. We have blue, black, and green. He requires 1 red to kill that beast, but unfortunately he doesn't have the dice. But wait, there's a special benefit of sharing a space with a friendly monk. A friendly monk can support any other monk's exorcism on their space with tokens that they already have. Yellow from earlier was able to obtain a red. So yellow is going to support green by spending his token to take out the sharp-nailed mistresses. Now this is where teamwork, drop the card there. This is where teamwork is core in this game, because you sometimes need to work together to get rid of some of the harder ghosts, particularly like we said before, the flesh devourer there in the top corner over there is quite a nasty one to get rid of if you don't have the cards or tokens needed to do it. So that ends green's go. We move on to yellow. Draws another card. We have the creeping one single green, but it's a haunter. So he places the haunter figurine on the card itself, and what will happen is that if it gets around to green's go again and the haunter has not been killed, it will shift forward 1 space onto the next symbol. If it then goes round again to green's go and it's not dead, it will move forward and it will haunt the tile. Now at this point you're probably thinking, well, there's only one of them, you can probably kill it. And that is true, but trust me, I've been rolling quite well so far. You'll notice I only had 1 failure, and even that was a success because I was being supported. You know, I know how to play this game, and I've had a bit of luck here, as you can see. But all you need is for the dice to go against you every now and again, and you could have more ghosts out there. So suddenly, things aren't quite so cushy. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully that has given you an idea of how this game plays from turn to turn. You will rinse and repeat this process until you eventually get through this entire deck and flip up Wu Feng. As soon as Wu Feng comes out, you place him on a space just like you would any other ghost. His abilities come into effect exactly like any other ghost, but instead he has his special Wu Feng incarnation symbol there in order to signify that he is Wu Feng, and he requires usually quite a number of blacks or some really nasty abilities go off when he turns up. As long as you can take out Wu Feng before the remaining 10 ghosts in the deck are depleted, you will win the game. But trust me, this is not as easy as it seemed here. This game can get hard quickly, and I'm playing this on initiation level. Initiation level is the easiest difficulty in this game. You can have it on 3 harder difficulties, and trust me, if you want to put it any harder than normal difficulty, you are being basically a masochist and you just want pain, and this game will deliver it in spades. So that's my how to play video for Ghost Stories. I hope you have gained an insight into the game and it's given you some ideas to support the review that I've already uploaded. I hope that one day you will acquire this game for your collection because it is a great co-op game, and I look forward to hearing some of your reports on how you've done, perhaps on some of the harder difficulties, in case you were mocking me at this point for getting it easy at the moment. So that's it from me. You've been listening to The Broken Meeple, and I thank you and we'll see you soon.